Hey everyone, welcome to another Feral Druid video. Today I've got an advanced guide for you. I did just recently put out a more basic guide, so if you want to get, the very basics of Feral, go check that one out. I will try and link it at the end of this video as well for you. But this is a more advanced guide. This is for people maybe who've been playing it for a little while and want to get up to scratch with 11.1. I would also, so we're going to cover single target stuff, we're going to cover raid stuff, and then we'll cover some Mythic plus AOE stuff. And I've got a few clips to look through. I would also very much recommend coming and checking out the Wowhead guide made by Guilty, who is a Feral Druid theory crafter. He's put this whole thing together with like raid builds, Mythic plus builds, stat prios, trinkets, all that kind of stuff, some rotation overviews. So definitely worth coming and checking this out, regardless of where you're at in the Feral skill line of things. But I'll start out with checking out the tier set. So this is our new tier set coming in 11.1. So the patch has released, but the new stuff isn't out just yet. So the way your tier set works is that your spells and abilities have a chance to activate a winning streak, increasing the damage of your Ferocious Bite, Rip, and Primal Wrath by 3%. So any of your finishes by 3%, stacking up to 10 times. Ferocious Bite, Rip, and Primal Wrath have a 15% chance to remove winning streak. However, your free Ferocious Bites are exempt from this chance. Now you might be wondering, what is a free Ferocious Bite? This talent right here, your Apex Predator's Craving, Rip damage has a chance to make your next Ferocious Bite free and deal the maximum damage. So, this tier set means that your Apex Bites are not going to cause that removal of winning streak. So that's quite nice there. And then your 4 set, leaning more into Apex Predator's Craving. When you consume Apex Predator's Craving, become a big winner, dealing 1.1 million physical damage to Apex Predator's primary target. So this just got buffed in a recent patch by a considerable amount. So that's going to give us some nice funnel. The more mobs that have Rip on them, the more chance we have of getting an Apex proc, which means we have more, damage from Apex that we can put into a primary target. And then on top of that, it's going to increase the damage of your periodic effects by 16% for 6 seconds. Now, this is dynamic, not a snapshot, which means you don't have to get this benefit and then apply your bleeds. Your bleeds that are already active will be benefiting from this 6-second window. So it's going to be a dynamic, shifting there or scaling. So that's the tier set. What that does mean is that we're going to be locked into this talent, Apex Predator, for single target and for any scenario. It doesn't matter. Once you have this tier set, then you're gonna want to be playing Apex Predator. I imagine most people will get the tier set quite quickly. So that does remove some of our choice in the talent tree. We used to do some builds where we'd kind of go more left-leaning and we'd like drop stuff over here and we'd come over here and grab whatever the stuff we'd grab on the left. But we don't do that now. We're going to just be grabbing Apex for pretty much everything. So that's a cool thing to realize now, that we are going to be grabbing Apex there. Then we're going to be playing Convoke in pretty much everything. Continuing to be playing it there. Still running Blood Talons. Blood Talons is a very core ability to your rotation. So when you use 3 different combo point generating abilities within 4 seconds, the damage of your next 3 Rips or Ferocious Bites is increased by 25% for their full duration. Now, this is a snapshot, so this means that you need to have this buff and then apply your bleeds. Any of your bleeds that are currently active obviously do not get the benefit from this Blood Talons. It's the same with your Tiger Fury. This is another snapshot, so Tiger Fury is going to increase the damage of all of your attacks by 15% for their full duration. If you have 1 second left on Tiger Fury and you apply a full-length Rip, that Rip will benefit from Tiger Fury for that full duration. So that's lovely. So those are a couple things that you have to consider there. And then we're running Adaptive Swarm. Adaptive Swarm is going to do some damage. It's also going to do some healing. And then it's going to increase the damage of your periodic effects by 25%, which is great. So we get a lot of bleed damage. Then we're running into Wildstalker here. We're going to be playing this. I don't think there's too much key to note from this that you need to stress about too much on single target. Just play the spec how you would anyway, and everything should be fine, but you can obviously check out the hero talents as and when you want. Then we've got the class tree. Class tree, you want to be picking up your core things here. Damage increases are scattered throughout the tree. You could be picking those up. When you are running Wildstalker, you can grab Lore of the Grove, which increases Moonfire and Sunfire damage by 10%. That will apply to your Lunar Inspiration, because Moonfire is now converted to a cat ability. You can also then grab magic damage and healing increased by 6%, so you can grab these for additional damage, whereas normally, say you're playing a Mythic Plus build of DOTC, you wouldn't care so much about grabbing these, necessarily, really. But you can grab those, there's some defensive stuff on the tree, utility stuff on the tree. You just check some of that out as and when you would like to. So then I'll show you some of the opener. So the core things that you're trying to do with Feral is you're trying to apply your bleeds at their maximum value, their maximum strength as quickly as possible. You're trying to generate your Blood Talons and maintain your bleeds. Outside of maintaining bleeds, you want to be pumping your cooldowns as much as you can be there. So that's what you're looking to do with Feral. Now, the single target rotation, I'm going to take you through here. So we'll start from stealth. You want to start from stealth as much as you possibly can, because it means that your Rake is going to do more damage. So that is nice. While stealth, Rake will also stun the target for 4 seconds and deal 60% increased damage. So you want to start stealth Rake as often as you possibly can. Then I'm going to look to generate my Blood Talons, which means I need to do 2 additional different combo point generators, and then I'm looking to get to 5 combo points with either Brutal Slash or Shred, which are just 2 core generators, non-bleed abilities, and then I'm going to get into sort of applying my rip and my cooldown window, and I'll show you how that looks. So I would look here to Rake, Moonfire, Thrash, build up to 5 combo points, Adaptive Swarm, Tiger Fury, Berserk, Rip, then Feral Frenzy, Bite, maybe a Brutal Slash Bite, then I can send my Convoke. Okay? So that's what we're going to be looking to do. I do have an action tracker as well. I'll try and keep that there for you guys so you can follow along. Once my cooldowns have been sent, I'm going to try and generate my Blood Talons as quickly as possible. I normally like to do that by coming out of a Convoke window, by then just immediately Brutal Slashing. This is because Convoke can't use Brutal Slash. So it might use 1 Shred and 1 Rake, and then you come out, you use a Brutal Slash, boom, you've got your 3rd generator. It might use a Thrash and a Rake, but not a Shred, but you don't know, because unless you're tracking your Convoke like a madman, I just like to use the Brutal Slash to guarantee that Blood Talons. Then I might look to either reapply my Rip if I need to, or refresh my bleeds. Other than that, I'm just looking to Ferocious Bite. So let's give this a go. So, Rake, Moonfire, Thrash, Brutal Slash up to 5, Adaptive Swarm, Tiger Fury, Berserk, Rip. I'm going to Feral Frenzy, Bite, we got a proc, Bite again, then I'll Convoke. Looking at my Blood Talons, I didn't get one. I got lucky there, I come out of that and I get one. Going to reapply my Moonfire, my Rake, Brutal Slash in here, Shredding, getting up to 5. I'm pooling up to 50 energy. When you pool up to 50 energy, your Ferocious Bite will do more damage. So that's what you're looking to do there. Trying just to keep track of my Rake, my Moonfire, and my Rip. Those are the key dots that I want to be trying to apply, whilst my Tiger Fury still has some duration left on it. Now, I don't want to sit on a Feral Frenzy, so Tiger Fury is not yet ready, but I have Feral Frenzy available. My Tiger Fury is not available for another, like, 8 seconds, so I refresh my Rip in its Pandemic window. Then I'm looking good. I can Ferocious Bite there, get rid of some energy. Now I can Tiger Fury. I can hold here for a second, reapply my Rip in its Pandemic window, get the Rake, get the Moonfire, Brutal Slash up to 5. Can Bite here. And now we're kind of just chilling. A key thing that you can do with Feral as well, another little Apex proc, so you can see when you get those free bites. You can also hear the coin as well for your winning streak stacks. Is a nice little indicate. Like when you've got the big winner, you use an Apex bite and you can hear the coins. So that's something to look out for. But something to note is Sudden Ambush. This is a good talent to consider when you are doing your single target rotation. You don't necessarily want to let's say you're needing to generate your blood talent, or you've just used a finisher, you don't necessarily want to start with a rake every time. Because you might not get a sudden ambush proc. Or if you do get a sudden ambush proc, your rake might not be in its pandemic window. So you don't want to immediately send that sudden ambush on a rake if your rake isn't in its pandemic window. So what you can instead do is like Brutal Slash, Thrash, wait a second or two, then hit the rake. As long as you're not capping on energy, and as long as you're still meeting that Blood Talon generating 4-second window, then you're good. And it means that, like, okay, so sudden ambush, you can either rake or shred. The better benefit is to get this with the rake. So you don't want to, like, use a finisher. Oh, I got a sudden ambush proc, but my rake's in my pandemic window. Okay, I'm gonna shred. Maybe you delay your sequence a little bit. Instead of doing, like, a shred, a brutal slash, and a thrash, you actually switch up that formation a little bit on how you're doing that. So that's like a nice little top tip for maybe sudden ambush optimization. But you don't need to do that. You know, that if you want to get a 99 percentile pass, okay, we're looking good. Apart from that, like, the main like, core of Feral is just generating your blood talons, maximizing your bleeds with the snapshot, reapplying them in their pandemic windows, yeah, maintaining your bleeds, not overcapping on energy, not overcapping on combo points, and then sending your cooldowns. Last key thing I want to comment on for single target rotation stuff is Tiger Fury. It's a 30-second cooldown. Your Berserk and your Convoke are both 2 minutes. So if you use them together, you then have Tiger Fury coming back up at 30 seconds, 1 minute, 1 minute 30, and then very conveniently, it'll be back up at 2 minutes. So you really don't want to hold your Tiger Fury. You really want to be using it on cooldown so that it does line up for every Berserk and Convoke, because you do not want to be using your cooldowns without Tiger Fury. So that's something to note. Another key thing is, like, if you can have Adaptive Swarm on the target here before you Feral Frenzy, then that's very good, if you can aim for that. And your Tiger Fury is a 30-second CD, your Feral Frenzy is 45-second CD. So you can get your Feral Frenzy in your Tiger Fury window initially, and then it's sort of like, you'll get it on the, like, what, the second Feral Frenzy, or, well, the third Feral Frenzy usage in combat, the 1 minute 30, you'll get your Tiger Fury for that. But outside of that, just use Feral Frenzy on cooldown. So even if your Tiger Fury isn't available yet, just send the Feral Frenzy. Was I right with the math there? I think I was right with the math. But you get the point. So that's sort of the single target overview. Okay, everyone, so now I want to talk to you about AOE Feral and where it's slightly different in talent choices. It's not majorly different. Couple things that we might be doing a little bit differently, but yeah, not too much. So you've got Druid of the Claw. This is going to be your Mythic Plus and just AOE build. What you need to be thinking of here is that when you bite when you get a Ravage proc, so your abilities, your auto attacks have a chance to give you a Ravage, which is just a super enhanced bite. It's going to also apply a bleed to mobs in front of you. So try and ensure that everything is in front of you, stacked up when you're sending that Ravage proc. If things are spread out a little bit, try and at least point it so that you're going to hit as many mobs as possible. It's a very small optimization, but just something to be aware of. And then this talent here, Killing Strikes, means that you get agility, yada yada, but your first Tiger Fury when entering combat makes your next Ferocious Bite become a Ravage. So we could guarantee that we're going to get a Tiger Fury, that we're going to get Ravage from our first Tiger Fury in combat. So this is very nice. If you're in Mythic Plus and your tank is not resetting combat in between each pull, maybe have a word with them if you're in a pre-made. If it's a pug, just suck it up, Buttercup, it is what it is. But you also have Shadow Meld, so you can make use of Shadow Meld. You might have to re-prowl, I don't think so, but you might have to. So you might have to Shadow Meld, then re-prowl for true stealth, and then you can Tiger Fury, and you can get another, it's like basically a full combat reset. That's like a nice bonus. Apart from that, I don't think there's too much that you do have to fret about with Druid of the Claw. We're just aiming for these really big bites, and we're guaranteeing them with our Tiger Fury windows. So those are the main things there. In terms of talents that switch up, so we're losing double tireless energy here, so we're going to have a more difficult time with our energy, but we're going to get access to Primal Wrath. Primal Wrath is just AoE rip. So some people say to me, do I want to use Primal Wrath on single target? No, you do not. Yes, you get an initial hit of damage, which is nice, but you're going to, with a new tier set, you risk losing your stacks on the Primal Wrath initial damage. When you don't want that, you want it on the Rip or the Ferocious Bite. So that's something to consider, I guess. But mainly, it's just the Rip duration is nowhere near as long. So that's a 10-second Primal Wrath Rip, or a regular Rip is 19 seconds. Talent dependent. There are a couple talents which will change that duration. But you get a double-length Rip on single target, which means you can fit in an extra bite or two. So the Primal Wrath initial hit damage is nice on AoE, but you'd rather just an extra Ferocious Bite on single target. So you're not Primal Wrathing on single target. You're doing it on 2 or more targets. You're also grabbing Double Clawed Rake, which is going to mean your Rake is going to hit one additional target. Think of it as like Twin Moons if you've played Balanced Druid, where your Moonfire hits 2 targets. And it just helps with your Rake spreading potential. So that's nice there. Apart from that, we're grabbing Rampant Frosty now. So we've dropped the Lunar Inspiration. We're not going to be Moonfiring. Instead, we're grabbing Rampant Frosty. We no longer have Tear Open Wound. Tear Open Wound meant we wanted to Primal Wrath spam in AoE. We don't do that anymore. Now, once we've Primal Wrathed initially, we're looking to bite, because now our bite is going to cleave in everything in AoE. It does do reduced damage beyond 5 targets, so it's not uncapped, but that's okay. It still does a lot of damage, so we want to be opting for that. So that's what you're looking to do in AoE. No other changes there. We have dropped Feral Frenzy for Unbridled Swarm. Now, some people do say to me, and basically all this does is just mean that you have a bunch more swarms. They have chance to sort of split off and just keep building and building. People don't really like this. I get that some people don't like Adaptive Swarm in Mythic Plus. Definitely in low-level keys, if you're doing a +2, +4, plus, some lower stuff, or Mythic Zeros or whatever, don't run Adaptive Swarm. It's just going to be a complete waste. If things, you want these to, like, really be saturated on mobs and get their full duration, and then jump to another mob and get its full duration and be splitting off, and if things are dying really quickly, you can have a bunch of swarms, you're going to go into combat, everything's going to get blown up, and then all of your swarms are just going to get immediately nuked. And so I don't think you really want to do that. What I would probably do in low-level keys is go double CI. This is just going to mean that you have more burst damage, specifically, which is massive, because in low-level keys you just want burst. But also, it's just, like, simple to use, it's passive, you don't have to consider it more. All that's going to do is just buff your Tiger Fury. So instead of doing 15% additional damage, you're going to do 27% additional damage, which is nice. You can also opt for 1 CI, 1 Feral Frenzy. So if you liked the extra Feral Frenzy damage, like the Feral Frenzy 5 combo points, immediate finisher, and extra single target specific damage, primary target damage, Feral Frenzy is really nice for that. It's going to increase your boss damage, so it's going to be good there. So either of these are an option. You can go double CI if you're lazy. You can go CI and 1 FF if you want extra single target. Or in higher level dungeons, you play Unbridled Swarm. One little tip I would give you on Unbridled Swarm is before your Mythic Plus dungeon begins, start swarming up everybody. And then when the key goes in, by the time everyone's feasted and done this and done that, you might have every player with like 4 or 5 stacks of Adaptive Swarm. You go into that first pack and they just unleash on everything. It's really nice. Now, what I want to do for the remainder of this video is just look at a dungeon that I did, and I want to talk you guys through how I'm looking to, at this current time and my current level of optimization, this is how I'm looking to play. This is a PTR dungeon with the new tier set, with the new gubbins, with the new treats and rewards. So we're going to go into this key. First thing I want to be doing, and you can see I've already pre-adaptive swarms, so there's already a few swarms tickling. Not too many, but there's a few. So we're building up here. Now, something you want to be careful of, I just want to make note, your tank is going to be gathering everything up. You could generally, in Mythic Plus, note when your tank is going to gather a bunch of stuff up, because it's either the first pull of the dungeon, or they're just a gamer tank, and you can very quickly see in their body language when they're just like, they grab something, but they're not standing on it, and they're already moving on to the next thing. You know they're going to go big. So I know my tank's gonna go big here. If you stealth rake, you're going to stun 2 targets. Your tank's not going to get any aggro on them, and you're going to be generating a lot of threat with your rake and whatnot. So you could die from this, but also it's really annoying when your tank's trying to stack things up, especially caster mobs, and you stun them, and then they're not grouped up in the pack, and then they're just chain casting outside of the group. So don't be a doof, okay? There's 5 people in the group. Optimize your damage, yeah, but also optimize the group's damage more so, and the success of the dungeon. So sometimes I don't stealth rake because I don't want to stun 2 mobs. Instead, you'll just see me like shred, or I'll remove my stealth and I'll just do a rake there. Then I'm generating my blood talons. So action tracker, so you can, okay, so I did a shred, rake, brutal slash. I'm waiting for everything to be grouped up, then I'll do one single thrash. I don't want to just be spamming thrash every time because it's energy expensive and it doesn't do a whole lot of damage. Like, it does if it gets its full duration, but yeah. So then we're going into the pack. I've got my Blood Talons. I want a Primal Wrath because I'm at 5 combo points, and then I'm just looking to rake spread as much as possible. What I'm setting up for is the tier set, because I'm fishing for an Apex proc, and when I get that Apex proc, I want to know that I'm enhancing all of my periodic effects. The more periodic effects I have out at that moment in time, the better. So I'm trying to rake spread as much as possible. I'm fishing for an Apex proc before I send my cooldowns, if possible. So getting a very early Primal Wrath is important because you can't get an Apex proc if you don't have rips active. Once I get that proc, I Tiger Fury, which guarantees a Ravage, so I'm then getting an additional bleed on everything, and then I can send all my cooldowns. So let's just go back in time a little bit, and then we can watch this through. So, hold on, this is going to be annoying. Here we go. So let's watch this through. So, I'm not going to stun anything. Rake, Thrash, Brutal Slash. Or Rake, Shred, Brutal Slash until things are grouped up, sure. Get everything together, try and get a Primal Wrath in early. Note my positioning here, I'm a little bit off from the mob so I don't pull aggro. I get that Ravage proc, send a snapped Primal Wrath, and then I'm waiting a little bit, getting a few more rakes out, then I can send the Convoke on a little bit of a delay. I got another Apex proc there, so that was really good. I come out of that Convoke and I Brutal Slash to guarantee a Blood Talons. Then I can Primal Wrath because I know I've got 5 combo points coming out of a Convoke always. Then I'm just like raking, thrashing, Brutal Slashing, Primal Wrath, and biting as much as I can whenever my Primal Wraths are healthy. You do have to be careful with Primal Wrath because it's not got a very long duration. So don't go just like spamming a bunch of bites and then your rips fall off. Sometimes people do ask me, hey, Sai, if I'm in a situation where, let's let this play. They'll say, hey, Sai, if I'm in a situation where I get like a Ravage proc, but my Primal Wraths are at like 2 seconds, and I don't have combo points to do Ferocious Bite and Primal Wrath, and I'm a bit energy starved, what do I do? The way I look at it is, you have a 0% chance of getting an Apex proc if you have no rips active, and you use a bite. However, if you use a Primal Wrath rip on a few targets, you have a non-zero chance that you're going to get an Apex proc. So, the way I see it, I would just get Primal Wrath active on all targets, like the rip. That's the most important thing. Because that's going to facilitate your Apex, which is going to facilitate the 2 set and the 4 set, and get you extra Primal Ferocious Bite damage, and you might get the Apex proc, and that's going to give you a little bit of bump of energy, and like, it's better that way. So that's what I would do. I die here, fast forward past that, oopsies. So can I show you guys another setup? So another key thing that I would do in Mythic Plus in AoE is try and leave combat with 5 combo points, 3 Blood Talons, and if possible, even an Apex proc. Let's see how this actually happened here. So, hold on. So, let's rewind. This thing's being annoying. Leaving combat with an Apex proc is really nice because it means you can Stealth Rake, Primal Wrath, Bite, and you're already getting a 16% damage buff just on that. I have had some really big DPS pulls with literally just a Tiger Fury, a Ravage Apex proc, and a Dream. And that's all I've had, and I've beaten out somebody else who's used like a full set of cooldowns. Because I've just had really good Apex procs and really good setup. So, oh yeah, sorry. I got a little bit distracted. So, how did we set up for that? So, mobs are dying. They're super low health. The way I look at this moment is How much effective damage am I going to get on these final two mobs? Not much. They're very low health. I'm not going to reapply bleed. I'm not going to be doing any tomfoolery here. I'm just looking to maximize my combo points, generate my blood talons. If possible, try and go into the next combat with as many brutal slashes as possible. So even if I do a suboptimal rotation here and I like rake, thrash, and shred, and then if I just shred on these two targets, like who cares? Because they're done. The effective damage of this pull is over. Now, I also got an Apex proc. It's got 14 seconds on it, so I'm going to be tracking that. And if I can hold this, I'm purposefully holding it here so that I can maximize the damage on the next pack, because remember, you got Rampant Frosty talent, your bite is going to cleave. Also, it's going to increase all my periodic effects. So I'm going to rake, Primal Wrath, send the Apex. I get a Ravage proc because the Tiger Fury. I get a proc there. Now I can Primal Wrath. You always want to be ensuring that your Primal Wraths have Blood Talons, and you want to make sure that you're Primal Wrathing in your Tiger Fury window as much as possible. So the last action I will do, if I have one Blood Talons proc left, then I'm sitting on a Ravage there, but I have Tiger Fury at 1 second, and I need to refresh my rips, I'm refreshing the rip. I'm maximizing that rip damage. Then when I get my Apex Bite or whatever, gonna get even more periodic effect damage there as well. So that's my focus there. I don't know that I have much else to say here. I know this might seem like a lot of rambling, but I think, honestly, if you're playing Feral, this should hopefully just be, like, super sick guide. A big thing that I'm trying to do in Mythic Plus right now as well, this is a very good pack to look at. So I'm raking these mobs. I Primal Wrath early, so I get a proc of Apex, hopefully. Then, because, like, look at the setup on this one. So let's just watch this a little bit. It's the last thing I'm going to show you. So we got two mobs. We need to move to the next two. I don't know if the tank's going to pull more, so I'm sort of umming and ahhing. Then once I see he pulls more, I've got Tiger Fury available. As long as I use it in the next 9 seconds, I'm safe where it's going to line up with my next Berserk Convoke. I want to try and rake spread on these mobs. Potentially before... I mean, it's a hard one because... it depends how many mobs there are. If there's a bunch of mobs, I'll just rake spread a bunch before I send the Tiger Fury. If there's only a couple mobs, I probably should Tiger Fury before I send the rake, because it's going to increase the damage of those rakes. But I rake up a little bit here, and then you can look to, like, send your cooldowns, right? Like, if this was that scenario, you then look to send your cooldowns. But I only had Tiger Fury here, so it's not too big of a deal. But yeah, that's everything I wanted to sort of show off with Feral offensively. Maybe I could do a separate video on, like, Feral defensively in Mythic Plus and maximizing things there. But, yeah, hopefully that's a good little video for you guys. Hopefully this has been helpful. Please let me know in the comments down below if this has been good for you. Like I said, check out Guilty's Wowhead overview, because that's really good, and, you know, going to be a lot of theory crafting within that, and a lot of helpful information, so definitely check that out. Apart from that, let me know what other videos you want to see from Feral going forward this season. Apart from that, just come check me out on twitch.tv/Psybear_TV. WoW days are Monday, Thursday, and Friday. I'm going to be raiding a lot this season on Feral and Balance. I'm going to be doing keys as Feral and Balance. But yeah, that's everything from me. Thanks very much for watching, guys. Good luck and enjoy.